Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and I'm still playing 1841. And we're still pretty much at the beginning of the game. The two trains are still in play. And but the last three train is gone, so the next train that will be purchased will kill the two trains. But for now, we are in a stock round. And an interesting idea came up here. We've got this company here, which is super valuable because there are 1,300 bucks in there, plus a share, so we can say about 1,400. And at the moment it's 57. There's a lot of stuff in the bank pool for shares. The company will lose its trains, but there is a ton of money in there to buy new games, to buy new trains. Okay, yeah, that's where my thoughts are. All right. Okay. Anyway, the tricky thing in this game is, basically we would say this player is in a perfect position. He holds the presidency. He has a priority deal which would allow him to buy another share. And he has two companies which are pretty rich. So yeah, then he can transfer the money between the companies, buy trains, and so on and so forth. That is all fine, but because players can trade shares between each other, the presidency is not as safe as he thinks. At the moment it is, because he holds the concession, and the presidency always stays with the concession. But as soon as the 4 train goes away, the concession will be removed and the presidency will then immediately change to the majority shareholder. And because this guy here, the pink player, comes before the blue player, and the pink player will probably buy another 4 train because he's the one who is most interested in pushing the trains and destroying the 2 trains. Because of all these things, he's got to be very careful that he keeps the presidency of this company. Because if he would be first in the turn order, so if the blue company would go before the other one, he could... No, actually not. He couldn't even get the money from here to here. The brown company had to go first, the IRSFF. So then they could buy a train and then transfer all this money into the blue company, which is safe. He holds 50%. But with 20%, it's easy for other players to simply buy him out. I mean, if one of the guys decides, okay, I make other players really good offers. For example, I offer him, or I offer them, at the moment these are only worth 57 bucks. Let's say I offer them 150 bucks per share. That's a lot of money. But if I buy 2 more shares, I already hold from other players, I hold 30%, which would then, as soon as the concession goes away, give me the presidency. And then I would get a company with a treasury of, well, if we include the share, maybe 1,500 bucks. So you can see that this is very tempting. I think it is definitely worth investing money into 2 or 3 shares, even if it is a lot of money, but you will get such a valuable company for that, and you can then transfer the money into your other companies and so on, that this could really be worth it, even though for the moment you would lose a lot of money. And even if you don't have the money, like for example, I don't know, let's say this guy here, he doesn't have a ton of money, he has 300, but if he needs more money, he can, I would even sell shares. I would even sell some other shares to get this company, to have the money to make other people interesting offers. So, protecting a presidency, if you have only a little share, if you are only holding a little percentage of your of the shares of the company, becomes in this game much harder than in most other games, where you can clearly see that there is a trade between the bank pool and the players. Here, where the players can directly interact, it is much harder. I guess that's the reason why the concession system and also the option to buy 40% at the beginning at the start of a company, why these two ideas were integrated here in this game. But yeah, when the concessions go away, this at least will not protect him anymore. So he is basically forced to get at least one of these shares from the bank pool to prevent that from happening. And therefore, because he holds priority, that's exactly what he's got to do. And this company is so strong, he might even consider buying 40%, and in this way getting the presidencies of both of the minor companies that will come from this company, simply because there is so much overall money that there are enough options to buy trains for both companies easily. But I'm not sure about that. We got to think about this. It would be definitely an interesting choice. But first, we're going to buy one from the bank pool, and it only costs us 57 bucks. So this guy here is also willing, is he? I wonder if I want to also invest in the Ferdinandia. There is definitely some risk involved because I'm sitting right next to the priority, next to the president. So if priority, and that will most time be the case, if this guy is before me and I hold 20%, he might drop a company on me. He holds 2 companies, so I think that's a pretty big risk. I think I don't want to do that. Same applies to him. One of the other guys here might buy another shares because they are clearly in a better position. They have the time to react because usually priority will be on their favor. So, well, we've got 300 bucks. What can we do with it? There is not too much out there. There are basically these shares and a few of these shares. So, at the moment, yeah. At the moment it seems to me this is the more interesting company. So I'm going to invest in these, 106 bucks. And we might see a few people investing in this company now. Okay, so it's this player now, and I also could have... This applies basically also to this guy, but I will not go back here. Sometimes people don't see it, and I didn't, and now I realize, you know, how healthy will be the company that will form down here. It looks like a very impressive company, and in my last solo game it definitely was, but this time it was started pretty low, and I'm not sure exactly why, but it is definitely not doing that great as it did during my solo game. And when the 5 trains come out, and this will be the case very, very soon, we only have here four trains, right? So when the 5, let me see. Okay, the merger will happen right at the beginning of the round, because I'm pretty sure that this guy will buy for the first 4 train, and I'm also pretty sure that there will be enough money in there to do it. I mean, if nobody buys shares from him, he only can buy a single share, I guess, for 129. Yeah, he can only buy a single share. So that means there won't be enough money in there. Wow, that's kind of interesting. So maybe, actually, if nobody buys shares of this guy, everybody else can kind of agree that, hey, let's continue running our 2 trains. And we're not doing that bad at the moment, right? On the other hand, this company will get stronger and stronger and stronger. So I doubt that the other players... He is definitely in the lead now. He's in a very, very good position. He's got a very good company, the Blue, the Torino a Genova, which basically pays out the revenue, and he can simply swallow all the time with the Ferdinandia. And therefore, this is a really... It's a massive money machine, even as a long-term strategy. So this is basically the perfect configuration in this game, I think. But some other people also make a lot of money, but still I think they will try to get rid of these four trains. So even if this guy won't get the money, I think the new... Yeah, but how? You know, there's not enough money in the companies here to buy a 4 train. So that's really interesting. Basically, we have to help him so that he can buy a 4 train. Otherwise, well, maybe he could. He holds about $350, which is exactly... Yeah, he could. He could afford a 4 train because... there was money going into the company thanks to the shares that were in here. So yeah, and somebody already bought a share. So he can now afford a 4 train. Okay, so we can be sure that the next phase will be triggered. But it might only be triggered here, maybe not here. So this is kind of interesting because then the blue guy might... I don't know. Okay, whatever. The thing what I was basically talking about, and I'm babbling like hell today again, is this new forming company here from the merger, will these guys be as powerful as I expected? Because we only have we have 3 trains in there, three trains, which is pretty much the optimum you can have right now, right? But the 4 trains, once the 2 trains are killed, the 4 trains will go away soon. There are only 4 of them. Let's assume this guy buys one. This guy has to buy at least two. Probably he might buy one, and there they go, right? That's it. Then they are already gone. Which means that the 5 trains might come out pretty quick, which might be also in the interest of some players, for example, of him, because he has the most money. And so in a way it won't hurt him that much when the 3 trains go away. And yeah, that's the thing. When the 5 trains come out, all the 3 trains would go away, which means that these 3 trains will be gone of the new forming company. And then they have only about, well, here we have 120 maybe. Here we have about, yeah, okay, that could be about 220, so let's say 250. We got 2 shares, each worth 100, so that would be 450. And here are a few bucks, so about 500 bucks. That's all that's in the company. It's only 500 bucks. That's not enough to buy even a 5 train, not even a single 5 train. So you can clearly see that this company isn't as healthy as it seems. Right now it's doing great, you know. They make a lot of money. They have the SSFL is having a very good run, and also I think that's the Luca company is also doing very well. But still, the trains will all go away, and there's not a lot of money in the company's treasury. So there's a good chance that some people say, you know, I want to sell some of that stuff right now before I might end up as the president of this newly merged company. Now this makes things a little complicated, because we're going to have to figure out now exactly what the shares are worth each, and then because what they will be worth after the merger, how many percent of the company they will be worth. I think these suckers are worth 5% basically, while these guys are worth, I'm not even sure about that. Damn, they might be worth 5%. No, I think they're basically worth the same. This is a 20% share. This is a 10% share. I'm pretty sure they will be worth the same, because this basically becomes, first there will be a merger between the minor companies, and then immediately after there will be a merger between the new formed major company and the Leopolda. So these companies these shares will end up as 10% shares of the new formed major company, and then they will have basically the same value as these. And then there is a new merger when they will be exchanged in pairs against shares for shares of the completely new company, which will be, by the way, the SFLI. You can see that here. You first have that merger into this kind of intermediate company, and then there is the merger here between the big companies into the SFLI. Okay, cool. So that means technically each of these shares is worth 5% of the new company. Okay, so that means as long as we're holding only 15%, so 3 of these shares, we're good. This share, however, is worth 10%, because it's a double share, it's a president share. So that means we are holding clearly too many shares that we might become the new president. If we want to avoid that, and I'm strongly considering that, we're going to get rid of some of these shares. So, still thinking about selling these things, and the following consideration came to my mind. Now, the 3 trains won't go away before the first 5 train goes. That means we're going to have one more run, at least, probably only one more run. And I counted that run with three trains, and it's a pretty good one. It would be $430. If we swallow here, that would mean we would have about $800 in our treasury. That's a lot. $800 is clearly enough to buy ourselves one 5 train. And the thing is, I would love to get a second 5 train, right? That's basically what we need to have a really healthy company. And I would love to hold these 2 shares to have some continuous income, which is also an important point. So the big question is, will we have the option to, oh boy, you know what? I'm pretty sure, fuck it. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna get this one run without 3 trains. And I'll tell you why. Because if I remember that right, the new company, the newly formed company, is not allowed to run in the round it formed. So that means basically the only money we get, well, we don't get any money. That's a fact, because I'm pretty sure that this guy might buy, maybe the other one, I don't know exactly who will. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure we got to be extremely lucky if we would be able to run all 3 companies and then swallow with them. That would be awesome if we could do that. But as soon as this guy buys a 4 train, it's not going to happen anymore. And then we get no run at all. So there's a big risk involved. Basically, we got to really see how much money is in this treasury. Will other people buy trains? And we also have to check, if nobody buys trains, he might even consider swallowing. And is that going to be enough to get the money for a 4 train? I'm pretty sure he will definitely buy shares of his own company. So he has then 130 additional bucks in there. So that's about, yeah, that's about $200 that we have. If he makes a run, he's doing at the moment runs about 200. So he ends up with $400. That is going to be, if he swallows, that's going to be enough to buy a 4 train. So we can be pretty sure this guy will buy a 4 train, no matter if other people than this guy will buy additional shares from him or not. Okay, so we also can be pretty sure that we don't get another run in the coming up operating round with all the companies that will be part of the new company. So all the 3 trains will probably not be able to operate, because this guy will buy 1 4 train, that's for sure. The other guy will probably buy at least 2, maybe even all of them. And then there is also this guy here who also sits on a bunch of money, and there's a good chance that the 5 trains will fall, and then in the end, this is a company without any trains with, I don't know how much it was, $500 or something. This is a disaster. So as powerful as it looks right now, if you take a closer look, it is a horrible company, and this guy is now seriously regretting as he sees the other guy making all his calculations. He says, fuck, I should have sold my shares. Now I'm sitting on all these shares, and I'm definitely going to get rid of some of them. There is no doubt. I thought maybe I should hold the shares. We make a deal that we somehow swallow all over and then somehow make this a wealthy company, but it's not going to happen. Okay, I sold these shares. So there are now 2 here of the Leopolda and 1 of the Maria Antonia in the bank pool, and I'm sitting now on, well, that's 500, 600, about $650. Okay, that's not bad, but it's not that great either. How much money will I need? I'm considering starting a new corporation. And I'm considering starting a major corporation because, yeah, at that point, I think it just, these are more powerful, and we're going to need possibly quite some money. So I wonder, yeah, let me see. If I start, for example, my idea is to start here and maybe here. If I start in Parma and Bologna, you know, the cool thing is there are in both areas, there are no tiles within 2 spaces. That means, and that is pretty awesome, I would only have to pay $25 for a token. I could in this way buy 5 tokens for $125, start with 2, and place a, that's pretty impressive. There's a lot of potential in a company like that. And then I could, these guys could go toward Milano. It's a long-term project. It's not going to be, I mean, okay, if the once the brown tiles come out, it won't be that hard, I guess. You know, it's just, I might be able to hook up here maybe, but we're going to see about that. And the other guys can go here to the Adriatic coast first, which will then give me $70. And Bologna is a big city, by the way. And then we might also consider moving down here. It's just 2 steps. We got to bust here through this 100 through this pass, but then we could maybe hook up here with Lucca, and there is then Roma with its $200 and Firenze and all. So this looks, I think this looks like a very, very promising starting area. So I'm going to do that. The only question is, how much money do I really want at that point? I think I want to start it high. Maybe, I mean, I cannot make that much money then. That's the problem, you know. I can only buy a few shares. If I started too high, and I would make less money. On the other hand, on the future, it's definitely better to have more money in the company, right? So I'm really considering it, starting it at 144, for example. And how much money can we get in there? We probably need, this thing costs me 550. Now if I invest, a 5 trade would cost me 550. If I invest, let's say 125 in tokens, I sit at 670, no, that's crap. No, 675. So it would be good to have 720, for example, here. So if I started at 144, That's pretty much what I have to invest, right? If I only started at 100, I could get a maximum of 600 in there. So yeah, starting it at 144 makes sense. And that would bring me 720 in the company if I buy 50%. That looks like a reasonable choice. So I'm going to do that, 144, and I've got to sell another share. Not sure which one that will be. I'm not allowed, of course, to sell the presidency of the Luca. I'm sitting on that, although I probably will suffer from that. But I might considering selling the Torino a Novara for kind of hurts, but I think we got to do it. It gives us 106. So we're going to take a hit for now, income-wise, because we had to sell a lot of shares that gave us a lot of money. But as I said, they will all stop giving us money anyway. And yeah, that one, okay, we got to live with that. So that's worth $106. Share value, of course, drops. And now I'm going to buy myself 40% of a new company, which is 576. So we have here now the ILTF, Impresa Latina Trasporti su Ferro. Okay. I started here in Bologna and Parma. Purchased overall 5 tokens, which is insane, but they have the tokens are cheap at this specific locations, so it's fine. And there is right now about $450 in the treasury, and they're going to be definitely 144 more in there at the end of the stock round. And maybe someone else is also willing to invest. Okay, now let's continue and see what the other guy will do. And now people are really bailing out of these southern railways here. This guy also sold 20%, so the share value drops significantly now. And also 10% of this one. Yeah, the other guys are already, this guy is losing a lot of money at the moment. Luckily for him, there are only 40% of the company in there. So he will be able to sell one more share. And of course these two. So in the end, oh actually, yeah, only this one. That's these two here. So in the end, oh no, there's a problem. If this guy, and I'm pretty sure he will, if this guy will sell his share of the Luca company, there are 40% then of the Luca company in the bank pool. And here's the problem. You're not allowed to sell a third 20% share because that would bring it to 60, and they're not allowed more than 50% of the company. So that means in the end, he can only sell one share of these, and then I'm pretty sure he's sitting there. He holds 4 shares, each one worth 5%. He's sitting on 20% of the company then. That means he will end up with the presidency of this garbage down here. Wow, that sucks. That really sucks. And I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to see here, because this guy will definitely sell this share also to damage him. There is no reason not to do that. Everybody on the table now realized these guys are in trouble, and therefore, yeah. But also these people will hold a lot of shares, and we might see some weird things going on. maybe some, I mean, we could see things like this guy is offering to someone else who holds no share at all. For example, this guy, he could offer one of his shares for $1 to him. So then he can get rid of the presidency, for example, and this guy gets a share for $1, right? Things like this are possible in this game. Yeah, as I said before, it can be very hard to really calculate who will end up with the presidency at the end of a stock round and who won't, because of this option of trade between players. But yeah, now I sold all this shit and I ended up here with 550 or $600. So we also have to consider what we want to do with it. I mean, we can definitely invest in our own company. That might be possibly the best idea. Before other people, there are 30% out there. So we might want to do that. It's not a bad company anymore. But there are also other promising shares, like this one or that one. So I'm not so sure what exactly looks best at the moment. Yeah, he of course sold one of the Luca, which means at the moment he sits on the presidency of the newly forming company down there, and he purchased himself one of this Alta Italia. It's his own company, and there's not a lot of money in there, only $200, and they're also going to have to purchase a train pretty soon. If the 5 trains fall, the 3 train will go away, and he's in trouble then. Somehow he needs $350. I mean, there are still a lot of shares in there, so the money is technically, it could be available if someone is willing to invest. The shares are not cheap, they are pretty valuable. They're at 129 now, so if someone would invest, it would be no problem at all. But it's not a very promising company at the moment. They only run this really bad route here. They might be able to expand, but hey, I really don't know. I wouldn't count on that as an investor, at least. So I don't know if that's such a great idea, and therefore this guy might be in trouble. He really might be. Of course, there is still the option of an emergency money raising, and that might be then enough, but it's going to be very close. The company will lose a lot of money, and this isn't too promising at all. So these are definitely the next guys. He's the next guy in trouble after him. So these two guys are definitely in trouble here. Okay. Yeah, now he wants to make some deals with some other people. He's saying, okay, guys, you know, I have the presidency. Maybe someone is willing to help me out. I'm offering you whatever share you want of these guys here for $1. Okay? I mean, we cannot do this deal right at the moment, but for example, if this guy, he might say, yeah, maybe I'm going to do it, but I can only do it in my buy phase. Okay? So, but then again, he's thinking, what do I get out of this? You know, if he doesn't hold the presidency of the newly formed company, or if nobody holds it, basically, which could be the case, if nobody has the shares to take the presidency, I'm pretty sure, I'm not totally sure, I'm going to check that now, but I think if nobody holds enough shares, so 20% of the newly formed company, that means the company is a frozen company, a freezed company, I think that's what it's called. The presidency is sitting in here. It does nothing. The share value will drop as quickly as hell, and basically if you hold shares of these companies, there's not a lot you can do. You can either you cannot sell them because there's already everything in there. So he doesn't really get any money out of it. He basically loses a buck. And the share value just drops further and further. The only option he would have is to say, okay, I'm willing to save this company. I'm willing to invest, to buy more shares. Somehow I'm willing to save the company and try to make a lot of money down there. Is that in his interest? It's an interesting question. The thing is that he's got a lot of money there, right? So he might even say, hey, I got enough money I've got enough money to save the company. I could do it without going to my private investments or something, or to my private cash. I only have to transfer money between the different companies, and in this way I would have enough to save it. So technically it might actually be in my interest. On the other hand, I'd be in a very strong negotiation position, right? Because if this guy, if he sits on these shares, he gets the presidency, and that means he basically has to buy a train partly out of his own pocket. Maybe not. Maybe he can avoid it, but I mean, yeah, maybe he can. It's possible that he can. It's not a good company then, but maybe he can avoid it. Indeed, I calculated this through, and it seems like we got about 350 in the new treasury. We got these 2 shares, but the company will not have the time to sell them. That means during an emergency money raising, they will go to the bank pool for half the price. So that's another $100 then. So we're having then $450. If we have the time, I hope we will. If we're going to get another 5 train, that means I will have to pay $100 out of my pocket. And then I'm sitting there with a company, well, with a non-permanent train. It can make good money, but it's definitely not something you want to be president of and responsible for, because sooner or later, you're going to have to buy one of these 1,450 trains, probably, and then you're host. Okay. So it's definitely in his interest to get rid of this presidency, which means indeed that he is in a very good negotiation position. So he might, for example, say, hey, I'm willing to take a crappy share for $1, but the rule is I can buy any number of shares. I can buy any number of shares from a single player for any price. So I could, for example, say, hey, I also want this share. I want these 2 shares for $1. And then I'm willing to help you out. Otherwise, I won't do it. That's a tough, that's a tough offer, but he's basically out of options here. I mean, if he's a rational player, he would probably say, okay, I mean, I'm losing money there, but at least my problems are gone, right? But then again, the problem is, if I do that, all I have left will be this 10% share and $350. That's all that I have left after this whole thing. I mean, I can sell one of these shares, and I'm going to do that right now. I can sell one of these shares, so that gives me another 75. But that's pretty much all. So in the end, I probably have less money, or pretty much the same amount of money as I had when the whole game started. That sucks. Because all these companies, all these shares now are going to be completely worthless if this is going to be a frozen company. And yeah, this is just a horrible situation for me. Boy. Maybe I should just take the company, pay the $100, and try to make at least some money out of this, right? It's not great, but I mean, maybe at some point I can merge or something. But this is such a terrible position to be in, and therefore, I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. On a 6, I'm going to make that deal with this guy and basically just try to get rid of everything. On a 1 to 5, I'm gonna face the pain. Okay, that's a 2. So, okay, screw it. I'm not willing to sell basically everything I have. You know, that doesn't make any sense. Gonna try to get at least some money out of this, and yeah, maybe, I don't know. As I said, there's always the option of a merger, but then again, who would be willing to merge, right? That's the other problem. Maybe I can somehow start my own company or something, but yeah, we'll see about that. Okay. Painful position I'm in, no doubt about that. Really bad position. But actually, you know what? I think when I'm now deciding to keep this thing, I might as well, but then again, no, I think it's okay to sell that. It's worth, I can still buy them back when I want to, and at least I get some money for these guys now. The price may even, although I don't know, the merger brings the price probably up a little bit. Yeah, maybe I want to actually hold this thing. I might actually want to hold that, because I think the merger will bring the price of the shares up. So therefore, I think I'm going to give back my $75. And okay, fine. Okay, this guy made an important decision. He purchased the third certificate of the Ferdinandia. That means he now holds 40%. That means when the secession happens, he's going to have to take both presidencies of the companies. So the Italian one and the Austrian ones. That means both companies will live. None of that will be frozen. But the thing is that there is so much money in there that he thinks that this is going to be fine, and that he can run both companies. These are minor companies, so the presidency will be 40% per certificate. He's going to make a lot of money out of these companies, and there is the option that he can merge in a few turns. It's not going to be long, in basically 2 turns or so. After 2 operating rounds, if he wants to, he can make a merger between the 2 companies, and then it's going to be one powerful, really powerful company, which, that is just, I think that's just great, and that makes a lot of sense to him. It's really an attractive option. Okay, here's one thing. I'm going to go back here. Here's one thing that I didn't keep in mind. And that is that there is this guy, and he also holds at the moment 40% of this newly merging company, the same as him does. So actually what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to sell these 2 shares. So now he holds 40%, and this guy also does, because he cannot sell any more shares of the Maria Antonia, and these are worth each 5%. So these would be overall 15%. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think so. And these are both worth, well then, but he would be only at 35%. Boy, that's tricky. That is tricky. Wait a minute. These are worth 15%? That thing is worth... Well, they would be both at 35%, it seems. Well, maybe they... That's weird. Maybe they actually won't even up as the president. We'll see about that. I'm going to sell that stuff. And this is really complicated with all these mergers. So I'm going to sell that stuff. That means that he gets... 86% or $86 plus $63 for his shares. I'm going to allow that to happen because basically this is just a question of the rules. These rules are so complicated with the merger and what happens if both have a presidency and so if both have the same amount of shares and so on. So I'm going to give him the option to get rid of as many shares as possible. So maybe in the end, this guy will end up with the presidency. There is a chance, because from what I understand, the president of the more powerful company, or of the more valuable company, will be the president of the newly formed company. And because here the shares are totally fucked, and if these 2 companies will merge, they will sit somewhere in the middle at 87 or something, and this is only at 50. So that means that in this particular case, it is possible that this guy is actually holding then the presidency of the more valuable company, and that means that he might in the end up as the president. So therefore, maybe he's not in as much trouble as he first thought, but instead it's him. We're going to see about that. So I just want to calculate it again and just check the rules again. And so it's true. I mean, the president of the company which has more value will be the guy who does the merger and who therefore has to exchange his shares first. So he will be the first one who gets the presidency. Okay, now let's see. If he does the merger with the 2 minor corporations, he will hold then of the newly formed corporation 30%. These 60% will transform into 30%. Okay. Then we have another merger. These 30%, and that's getting interesting. He can exchange 20 of the 30% into 10%. He has to do that. And then he's going to exchange these 20% also into 10%, which means that then he will end up with 20% and 1 share left. And that will give him the presidency of the newly formed company. And there is absolutely nothing he can do against that, except someone else is willing to buy shares from him. And I don't know that, I mean, it's probably not going to happen, because he's basically in the same situation that then all the shares he would be holding now, except for one or two, are basically useless. Especially because the other guys could blackmail him to give him valuable shares, right? So it's probably not going to, in addition to the shitty one that they would buy for him. So yeah, as I said, it's the same situation as with him, but in this case he is lucky because this company is more valuable. It's interesting. It really is. Okay, now this guy will end up with the company. We know that for now for sure. So what we actually can do is we will buy more of these 50% shares, because they will rise in value. And yeah, I think it makes sense to buy of them, because yeah, when the merger is, these are the one that will profit most from the merger. And if we are the president, we might as well buy these guys. On the other hand, they're not making money in the next turn, right? But hey, as I said, they will. The merger themselves will make them valuable. Maybe the others shouldn't have sold them all, but then I don't know. I think it's okay that we did that. It's a very, very tricky situation with this merger. Okay, so we are seeing a long stock round here. A few people now, or basically this guy, yeah, he invested in the Leopolda, and he also purchased another share of the Leopolda. The share value will go up after the merger, so if you're stuck with it, you can as well get them, and him, it doesn't hurt him to have one of them. And this guy was passing. He has no money after starting the big one here anymore. But this player, he thinks about starting another company actually. He holds here $400, and he might consider selling a share here. Not sure about that. Would be $500. Is that good enough to start another company? I mean, it's not great. He could afford a 4-train if he starts the company high. Yeah, if he starts the company high, he will be one of the first going, and then he could afford a 4-train. The idea for him was he could start here, this historical company. It is still available. It's still phase 3. So the idea is to buy the concession. Problem is it costs $50. And I think that if you start a historical company, the tokens cost you $50 each, which isn't terribly much. So you could buy, for example, 3 tokens for $150, although it is already nearly hooked up. And then the idea is, I mean, basically you would say, okay, Torino is blocked, so why start this company? It can't get anywhere. But he could exchange a token with him. So let's say this guy manages to get a token to Milano. That's not going to be so easy though, because the the blue player will be first. Yeah, I don't know. But I could also temporarily do it. I could go here basically, exchange the token. Nah, I don't know if it's possible. Maybe cut through here and make a connection here so that I can break out somehow and then place a token somewhere else. But this all sounds... And then, you know, switch back or something. But this sounds all pretty complicated. Maybe it's not such a great idea. I'm not sure about that. Okay, now this guy indeed decided to start a new company. And he wants to start it here in Ferrara. He only places a single dot for now. He needs something to invest in. This company looks like shit. There is, you know, it kind of stuck there, and I don't want to be in any way. I cannot trust these guys. It might get better, there's no doubt, but at the moment I really have my doubts. This company looks promising, but I don't really invest more than a few shares if I'm sitting right next to this guy. So that's definitely another problem here. And apart from that, there's not too much out there. So I still have $300 left, actually more, 400 something. So I got to start something here. I got to do something. So at the moment, there is still room for new companies, and they're not terribly expensive. So my idea was, okay, I can start here, and I can work together with these guys. You know, it might be in a common interest to say, yeah, okay, we will lay track in a way that we all profit. And therefore I started the company now at a fairly high price because I want to buy a 4 train with the company. I don't want to buy a 5 train. I might not be able to get as much money in there. So now I invested about 400, how much was it? 432. I bought 30% of the company. And I gotta buy myself, I want to buy, not quite as much, I think I want to buy myself 3 dots. So that means I gotta spend $75. Now let's see how much is left. That would be 350. That's enough for a train. This doesn't count as a tile within 2 spaces because it's across an active border. So there is no tile within 2 spaces, which means the tokens cost only 25. So that means I can afford these 3 tokens, and I'm only going to start with one of them. Okay, fine. Okay, we're finally done here, and I guess we're going to see an interesting set of operating rounds now. So it's only 2 operating rounds. We come to the first one, and now the newly launched companies will start. We have here the the ILTF, the Impresa Latina, and well, they are allowed to lay 2 tracks, and yeah, the idea, do we want to work together or not? Why not? I think it makes sense. I think I want to work together with this guy. So I'm going to place this one here. Actually, we need a Y track. Let's see if we can get one. There we go. So this one goes here. And we can place another track And that is a standard one. So that's going to be this one here in Parma. Okay, there we go. We're not hooked up yet. The question is, do we want to buy trains? Oops. Let's see. I think I don't want to buy a train at the moment. If I wait one more turn, I will get probably a 5 train. And there's a ton of money in there. So I get a good chance to get a 5 train, and there are also some shares left. And maybe then later even a 6 train, and that would be a permanent train. So that would be definitely cool. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 and another 350. And there are about 300, 450. That's about, yeah, that should be pretty much enough to buy ourselves a 6 train if all these shares go away. So yeah, I think I want to skip on the 4 train and wait. I'm not hooked up, so for now I don't have to do it. And of course the share value will drop. That's the disadvantage. Okay, so he hooks up here with this track, so that means now he has to buy a train, and he wants to. He doesn't have that much money in there, so he is interested in buying one of these 4 trains. So that's 350. There we go. And now finally, oops, it goes here of course. Actually, this sucker might consider buying a share, but I don't think I want to do it right now. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so that means now that we have phase 4 starting, and that means a lot of things will change. So let's see. What's phase 4? At the beginning of phase 4, or okay, the conservative zone border is eliminated. Fine, so that means this border here is now eliminated. It doesn't change things terribly for now, but so we are allowed, I mean, for example, if this guy would go here through the mountains, we could now lay tokens here and stuff like that. Okay, all the concessions still in play are removed from the game, along with their related inactive historical corporations. Okay, so let's do that. And by the way, this guy will get 20 more bucks, because this concession still pays out one last time at the end of the last stock round. Okay, so that means now the concessions are removed from play. It also means in case a minority shareholder would have held the presidency at that point, it would have gone to the guy who holds the most now. But this isn't the case here anywhere. We have a concession here, sitting in here, another one there, and over here is another one. I think that's pretty much it. Okay. In addition, it means that, look at that, I didn't know that. That is actually a minor company. That's interesting. I thought it was a major company. Okay, but anyway, this one here, this one is now removed from the game. It may not be started again, and the starting position here becomes now free for everyone to place a dot there. The Austrian possessions are limited to Veneto, So these are these green hexes over there. The rest, which was former Austria, this rich part here is now Italy, which means also that these borders are eliminated. And that means now that companies like the Torino-Genova and the Torino-Novara, they can now place a dot here in Milano. So probably the Genova, the Torino-Genova one will do that. The other one comes later and therefore, well, will be too late. Player can now start a new corporation in Austrian territory, which now is basically here in the Veneto area. 2 trains are eliminated from the game. Yeah, that's a big deal. This guy has a 3 train. All these trains here are gone. So as expected, the corporations don't have any trains left. This one goes away. That one goes away. And we got another one here. Okay. And a nice little space here for obsolete trains. And actually that's kind of cool. We have a space there for the concessions. Relax. Very good. So we can place them over here. Okay. Each major corporation is limited to 3 trains. The middle gray values are now scored for the external boxes. For example, here we now have 70 bucks in the Adriatic coast. There we have even 80 in the east near Venice. Down here, 40. So these become interesting. Marseille also is now interesting with 100 bucks. So there's a lot of money already now in the off-board areas, in some at least. Ferdinand Diaz secession is performed. 4.6.8. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's see. So the SFV and SFL minor corporations are created and their market value tokens substitute the IRS with the SFV token above the SFL ones. So that's cool because that means that the SFV goes first, which is a good thing. Okay, so let's do that. These are both minor companies. So this is the SFV and that one is the SFL. Okay, so they are now placed here on the 57 space, and this one is removed. Okay. The SFV and SFL are provided with 2 tokens each. Okay. SFL. There we go. And yeah, there we are. Okay. What? The RSF tokens already on the map are substituted with the SFV and SFL tokens by geographical location, with the ones in the Austrian possession going to SFV and the others going to SFL. Okay, fine. So that means now that this one here is substituted with this one. Okay. That one is removed from the game, obviously. And this one here in Milan is substituted with this one. Sadly, they are both blue. So, but at least from the top, it's pretty obvious that this one is brighter than the other one. Okay. Now, The best IRSFF trains is given to the SFV, while the second best is given to the SFL, etc. Well, that is easy. There simply are no trains left. So let's okay. IRSF money is divided between the new corporations with 90% going to the SFV and the remainder going to the SFL. Okay, so let's see. We got here 1,354. So basically 300, that's bullshit. 134, I think, go in here. No, go in there. Yeah. No, 135,350. Yeah, so 135 go in here, I think. The treasury certificates are divided between the new corporations with the highest certificate going to the SFV and so on. Okay. Okay, so that means that this sucker goes to the SFV and there is no other certificate. Okay. Each shareholder, IRSFF shareholder, beginning with the president and going to his or her left, exchanges each couple of his or her certificates or the presidency for one SFL and one SFV certificate over the presidency of one of the two new corporations until all the certificate couples have been exchanged. Okay, so from what I understand, and I think that's in the frequently asked questions. If you can exchange it for a presidency, you have to do it. So if you only have one presidency, if you only have 20 or 30%, you can actually choose which presidency you want. But if you hold 40%, you have to take both presidencies. Does that make any sense? Yeah. I think so. I find that really confusing here because they exchange each couple of his certificates for one and one, or with the presidency of one of the two. Now I get it. Okay, fine. So here it says, and that makes it more clear, when swapping pairs of the IRSFL, the first pair must be swapped for the president's share of either, and the second pair must be swapped for the other. If there is no second pair, the unclaimed certificate will to the bank pool. And in this way you can avoid holding the second presidency. Okay, but anyway, this guy has now two pairs. This counts as a pair, obviously, the presidency. So these two pairs are now exchanged, and I'm going to place them here for now, with the presidency of the Venete, which is worth 40%, and the presidency of the Lombardy, and that is of course also worth 40%. Fine. Let's continue this. Of course, yeah, and then we got to continue exchanging. The other guys now also have to exchange, and I guess they have now the choice. If you only have one, you can choose which one you want, and the more promising one at the moment, I mean, it's not that easy to say because they seem both pretty lucrative right now. The SFV has all the money, but it is pretty obvious, because this guy holds both presidencies, that there will be a transfer of money or trains. So it's the question now, which one is the better, right? Is this one in Milan? I mean, they can make a lot of money, but this one is also not bad with the 80. But it seems to me like Milan is actually the more valuable company here. So I think this guy will take 20% of the Lombarde. Okay. He can do the same thing. And yeah, I think he also hopes for success of the Lombarde. It seems simply the stronger one. Same happens here. And in the end, we got this guy here. There's now only one left. So he can take 40% of the Venete. And that might be a risky thing because because that brings him in the position where the company could be dumped on him, and he didn't keep that in mind. Holy fuck. That sucks, man. But yeah, it seems pretty much that this is actually what's going on here. Oh, actually, there's one left. Why is there one left? Because of this one. I see. So I think he could have chosen first here. And I forgot about that, because first the presidents can choose and then his companies. So that means basically that this one would go in here. So he would actually be without a Lombarde, and he would have to take instead, no, not that one, a Venete. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think that's pretty much all that happens at that point. What? Yeah, first the couples are wait a minute, yeah, okay. First the couples are exchanged. Okay. So that means, yeah, first the couples are exchanged. That means that this sucker can actually exchange his 2 shares first. Yeah, okay. Let's get this straight. So that means, okay, wait a minute. That's a little tricky here. Okay, this guy had 2 couples, so he was the first to exchange it. Then it's him, and he has 1 couple, and he's got to take 1 of the Lombarde and 1 of the Venete, which is good. That saves his ass. Otherwise, one of the 2 companies would have probably been dumped on him. Okay, cool. Then the single shareholders will start. The first one is this company, who takes a Lombarde share. He didn't have any? Is that possible? Gosh, this is, yeah, I think we're gonna see something like this then. So yeah, the first one was this company who takes a Lombarde share, because this seems to be the better one. Then this company, then this guy, and now there are no more Lombarde shares left. Yeah, because this has 40, he has 20, and these two have 20. So that means the Venete go now away, this one, and this one. And then we're done. Okay, fine, I think we did that properly. Fine, this corporation here is now eliminated from the game. The Ferdinandia, and instead this guy holds now overall 3 corporations. The Torino a Genova, the Venete, and the Lombardy. Okay, cool. And then the Tuscanian merger will happen. Okay, so all 3 companies are running. That means the SFLP and the SFMA are first merged into a major corporation like 2 regular minor corporations. Then a regular major corporation's merging occurs between the SSFL and the new minor corporation. Okay, so as a kind of an intermediate corporation, simply let's use the Ferdinandia one. That doesn't hurt at all. Okay, in this special case, we can actually ignore the tokens from what I understand. So basically what happens now is these 2 corporations, the Maria Antonia and the Luca Pistoia, they merge into this one, which is just a generic corporation now. That means all the money goes in there, all the tokens go in there, but that doesn't matter because in this specific merger, the new company will get 5 tokens anyway. The shares go in here, and the train goes in there. Okay, this stuff is removed and also eliminated from the game. And then shares are exchanged. And basically they are exchanged, or the certificates are now exchanged on a one-on-one basis. Which one is the more valuable one? Okay, that is 106, that is 78, so it's clearly this one. That means first he will exchange his presidency for a presidency. He does basically the merger, he starts it all, right? So he exchanged it for a presidency of the new one. Does he have anything else from this corporation? No, he doesn't. Okay, fine. Then it's him. He holds 2 shares, 3 shares basically. So he gets now three certificates, okay, and then we have 4 certificates here in the bank pool, okay, so they are also removed. And now someone tell me please why there is 1 certificate left. And the explanation is that this guy also holds 1 certificate. Okay, cool. So that means now basically all the certificates of these guys are exchanged and gone. And as I said, for now I'm going to ignore the tokens. I think I can do it. And now comes the merger between this one and this one. After do we deal with the new market value before we do the other merger? So the market value goes into the rightmost place whose value is lower than half of the sum of the market values of the old miners. Okay, so yeah, great. I'm going to use the red token to represent that. So the sum is 106 plus 78. Yeah, great. Okay, that's 114, 148. That's crap. 184, of course. Yeah. So that's 184. Okay, half of that is 92. And it must, so 92, and the rightmost place where the value is lower than 92. Okay. That seems to be 76. Wow, that's not great. Yeah, but that is actually, I think, the case. That would be 95. So it is 76. That's the rightmost value. Well, that dropped significantly. Great. Oh boy, that was stupid. Okay, that sucks. I mean, maybe I think the lower ones made a little bit of money, but I'm not even sure about that. No, it was 78. Oh boy. 78 and 106. Oof. Wow, that was painful. Yeah, it was close. 95 would have been okay. If we had something like 96 or so, we would have been great. But in this way, we definitely lost money. Okay. And then we do the merger of the big ones. Okay, that's even more complicated. First we need the sheet. Yeah, great. It's this one. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, this is our new company, the Strade Ferrate Livornesi. Okay, so let's see. First of all the money will go into the new treasury. Let's make that a little more. Yeah, let's clean this up a bit. Okay, and by the way, now the president of the new corporation, which is now who exactly? Let's see. This guy holds now 30%, so that means that the presidency of this guy, yeah, that means that the presidency actually goes here. So he is the player now holding the presidency of this, well, intermediate, can we call it like that, corporation. And then that's important because that means that he will now, because this is the more valuable one, 76 versus 50, so he will now be the guy. Oh fuck, man, I forgot to adjust the I forgot to adjust the share values. I should have, wait a minute, I tried to do that. So the Leopolda loses because there's money in there, and this, no, not that one. Yeah, they lost both. No, that's not true. I think they were sold out. So basically only the Leopolda loses, and yeah, I hope that's not too bad. No, it's still good. This is still good. It's still after this one. So that means that this one, the Torino Genova, is sold out. Fuck it. Yeah, that kind of sucks. That might have actually affected the value of this one. Maybe we can, I think it was 117 and 78. Yeah. Okay. The question is now, were there shares in the bank pool? I think so, because of this. I think there were shares of both companies actually in the bank pool. So that means that it should have dropped at 111, 168, which means that it's only 119, and so it's 179. Half that, oh boy, 100 and let's make it 180 would be 90. So yeah, I think it stays at the same space, and therefore the loss is not quite as big. Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. Anything else sold out? I don't think so. Well, these are, so they go up. And that's pretty much it, I think. Were these sold out? I think they were, so they should be here instead. Yeah, I think I'm done with this now. I hope I didn't mess this up too heavily, but I think it's okay. Okay, that I should have done that by the end of the last stock round. But okay. So let's continue with the merger. The shares also go now into the new treasury of the new company, and so do the trains. Okay, so we have now a cool company here with 3 trains, but we'll see how long they will hold. Okay, we got $350 in there. Now we gotta exchange shares. Okay, that's not so easy. So first, I think also a couple of shares are actually exchanged, which means this guy starts because he holds the more valuable one. So he exchanges. Now this time you get basically for 20% 1 share of the newly formed company. Okay, so that means we got to spend 40% to get the presidency. Is it this one? Yeah, the Livanese. Okay, then we got to spend another 20% to get another share. Okay, cool. Fine. These 10%, we leave them sitting here, if I understand that right. Okay. Then after the president comes the next player, which is him. And he doesn't own... Yes, actually he does. He owns these. So these are 20%. This was basically the former presidency of the Luca. Okay. Now it's 20% of the newly formed kind of intermission company or whatever you want to call it. And it goes here. And he gets 10% now for these 20%. Okay, there we go. This guy is not involved at all. This guy holds 10% of this. He holds overall 40%. So these are also basically 2 couples. So he exchanges these for 20%. There we go. Okay. He holds 10%, and they are ignored because this is not a couple. For now they are ignored. Now we come back to the president. Okay, before we continue now with the odd shares, we have to determine the value of the new company. And that is, if I'm not mistaken, the sum of both, but lower than 250. Yeah, okay. So the sum of both is, wow, that's 39, holy shit. 39 and 76, okay. So let's grab a token here. Gosh, I'm completely out of space here. So we're gonna need these tokens. And there should be another one somewhere, I think. That's kind of weird. Ah, there we go. Okay. So we got, now one token goes onto the market price here, and that is 76 plus 39, it's 106, 115. So, guess that's then 114, right? Let's see if that makes sense. He puts the market value token of the new major corporation in the rightmost place. I see. Whose value is lower than the sum. Okay, so it is 115, so that means the rightmost place is 106. Yeah, fuck. That's not good. Yeah, okay. And now these two guys are removed. What? Are you sure about that? Yes, that's actually the case. Okay. So that means 106 is the new market value of this company. So that means now that the investors of shares in the Leopolda, they might have made some money with their shares, and the others obviously lost something here. And now the remaining shares, starting with the president, can now be exchanged. Now basically each shareholder, and there might be some, and actually there are, who hold now one single share, because all the couples have been exchanged already. And now the guys who hold one single share, they will have the option, if they want to spend half the money and their share to get a share of the new company, or if they want to get paid out. Of course, there are only limited shares left. There are only 4 shares left. So, 1, 2... Oh, wait a minute. This guy... Oh, no, he already holds a few. Ah, yeah, there are shares here. So I think actually this couple here should be also exchanged for one of these. And so should these. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure actually that the couples in the bank pool are exchanged before the players are offered their shares. So that means we have now 3 shares in the bank pool, because there was 60% of these other 2 major companies in there. Okay. And that means we have now exactly 1 share left, but we have 1, 2... No, that isn't true. It's only the Leopolda. 1 and the Ferdinandia. So 1 and this guy. Yeah, these 2 players are now holding shares of the Leopolda, and they are offered now... they are offered now to exchange these shares. Yeah, good question. Do we want to... Well, we have some money here, so we could do it. We could spend 53 bucks. It's not bad, I think. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna spend 53 bucks. And now the money goes actually in the company. The 53 bucks go in here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I want to do that. I'm going to buy this one for 53 bucks. And yes, I made the exchange of the money. So I didn't just put the 100 bucks in here. Okay, so, and that means now this guy doesn't have the option anymore. He simply has to sell now the share for 106 from the company. And this time the money comes not from the company, but it comes from the, not for 106, but for 53 actually. It comes from, and the question is, it comes from the bank, and the question is now, did he make money? I think in the end he made 50 bucks or something. He made 3 bucks. Yeah, I think he made 3 bucks. So it wasn't terribly great, but okay. He made 3 bucks out of this. This is, I think, gone. So, yeah. I think that makes sense. So it's all a little complicated here. But that's what happened. So this means now this interim company is gone. I think that's the right word, interim company. Do we have a presidency here? Yes, we do. And this company here is also eliminated. And now we got to exchange tokens. And there is a special rule for that, I think. They get 5 tokens, 2 of which have to be placed in Pisa and Firenze, and the other can be either substitute for Tuscanian corporations tokens already on the map or put into the SFLI tokens pool. So yeah, that means 1 goes to Pisa, 1 goes to Firenze, and we're going to remove the others from play for now. Here comes the problem. The SFLI will not run in the round in which it is formed, even if its components have not. This is a side effect of the standard merge rules. Yes, and that brings me now definitely into problems because I probably will not be able to run the three trains. I'm not sure about that, but it is kind of unlikely. Okay, now things change significantly. Take a look here on the table. This guy has now 3 companies, each of them holding still 1, but their minor companies are gone. He's holding 2, he's holding 1, and he's actually without a company at the moment. Okay, so let's bring at least this operating round to an end. The next company operating now would be the Torino-Genova. Okay. Okay, actually, my memory card was full, so this video is getting much longer than planned. But anyway, as I said, let's bring the operating round to an end. The Ferrata da Torino a Genova, the Strada Ferrata da Torino a Genova, they placed tiles here to push on with a possible merger here, and then they placed their token here in Milano, and of course the Torino a Novara wasn't happy about this at all. Then they did a run to 10, paid out, value raised, and they purchased themselves a 4 train and another share, this time of the Impresa Latina. Okay, and next one is then the Alta Italia down here, and okay, well, yeah, it sucks. as long as this is brown, there is nearly, or as long as is green, there is basically nothing they can do. They're just in a terrible situation here. So, okay, I mean, at least they can upgrade. Let's see, do they have the money to buy themselves a train? I think they just do. I think they just do. So they're not going to lay track here, because that would yeah, that would cost them $50. But they have the money to buy themselves a 4 train. Well, first they're going to run. Well, actually, maybe they can. If they make here, okay, they make $110. They pay out. Well, we'll see. Okay, first we're gonna make that run, obviously, and I'm gonna buy me a 4 train here. It's ridiculous. I got 2 trains. I cannot even run a 2 train properly. I mean, I could do more. It's ridiculous, totally. But I need to buy that train for $350 because I cannot afford the 5 train at the moment, and the 3 train will go away probably in this operating round. So I have to buy the 4 train here, and yeah, this is just terrible. It really is. The fact that I didn't manage to hook up here, that the others simply cut me off, is a disaster for this company and of course for this player. But I mean, we paid out, but it wasn't enough to make the share value rise. And now it's the Torino a Novara, is it? That's yeah. Oh, it's actually no. It's the Livonesi, the one down here. And look at that. They actually can run. That's interesting. They can run these 3 trains. Wow, they were really lucky here. They were really lucky. Wow. Just amazing. But of course, these 2 companies, they come later. These are the ones that will buy out the 4 trains. So these guys actually will have the option to run their 3 trains. That is very valuable. That means they can swallow. And in this way, they will have the money to get them a solid, although it's a non-permanent, but still they have some money to get them a train. That is worth something. And yeah, they did $380 with their three trains. Roma now worth $40. Adriatic Coast now worth $70. So that, they're going to swallow this, and that brings them now in a much, much better position than expected. And now I can see, I didn't see that until now, that a shorter version of the name is down there. That's pretty cool. In this way, it's easier to determine. Yeah, these guys here, they purchased a share of the Latina, the newly started one there. And yeah, it's good to have shares. They give you a constant income. So this is actually now, this company is in a pretty good shape. This train run came kind of unexpected, to be honest, but it worked out. So yeah, we can be happy, I guess. And now it's the Novarese, this one here, and yeah, they're sitting on a 3 train here, And the deal with the other guys was to bust through this area here. So they're gonna spend 50 bucks. And then place, oh gosh, one of these markers. No, that isn't true. You don't need that marker. It's just a standard, this is not a pass, it's just a standard terrain card, and we don't want that either. We definitely want something like this. Okay, cool. And then as another action, there's not that much we can do at the moment, it seems. So now I got the choice. I mean, first I got to make the run. So it's we got a 3 train here. So we're probably going to go like this, I guess. Yeah. So it's going to be 70, 80, 110, 210. There we go. And I'm going to pay out, obviously. Will I? Wait a minute, it's 210. If I swallow, can I afford these 2 trains? That's an interesting question at that point. We have here 350. No, that's bullshit. We got, wait a minute, we got 550. Okay. That's not going to be enough. Even if I swallow now, it's not going to be enough to buy me a 4 train. I don't get the money. Okay, so it's just enough for 5 train. I think I want to skip on the 4 train. The problem is that means that I cannot run for 1 turn, which is a little painful. So 1 to 4. Yeah, still, I think I want to try to get a 5 train next turn. The question is, will I get that train, right? I mean, there are only 3 5 trains available. And there are a lot of companies out there. These guys, oh boy. There are a lot of companies out there. If I swallow now, maybe I can make sure that I get at least a 6 train if I add a little bit of my own money. That could be a better idea, to be honest, because I think there will be at least 3 trains going away, probably 4. And these guys will definitely buy 2 trains, maybe 3. This guy will definitely buy 1 train. It's tricky. Yeah, you know, I think actually I will swallow at that point, and maybe then I can afford to buy a 6 train in the next round. So the share value will drop, and I can get 210 bucks into my treasury. So the Veneta laid track here, moving toward the merger, and then they bought 2 trains, the last 4 train, the first 5 train, and they also, no, that's not true. Wait a minute, this is, yeah, no, absolutely, exactly. And then they also purchased the 3 train from the Genovese for 300 something. So basically the money is now here in the Genovese. Okay, and that means we are now in phase 5. So let's see what changes here. Okay, oops, sorry for that. Oh, okay. So it's important that we actually buy the 3 train first from the Genovese to bring the money there, and then buy the 5 train, because when the 5 train is purchased, the 3 trains disappear, the brown tiles become available, the Austrian possessions are limited, so basically it's all now one border except for, or one country except for the Swiss over there. All the other borders are now out of the game. And we have now from the next turn 3 operating rounds. And the major corporations can now only lay a single tile, no longer 2 tiles, during their operations. That kind of sucks. I have forgotten about that. That makes this here, yeah, that sucks. That would cost us another operating round, basically. That's bullshit. Okay, anyway, we gotta live with that. It means now the 3 trains all go away. And that means that the Livornese has no trains left, but they have quite a bit of money here, so it shouldn't too bad for them. Shouldn't be too bad. This one goes away, and this one goes away. Okay. And well, obviously they couldn't pay out because they didn't have any trains. And then it's the SFL, the Lombarda, sitting in Milano, and they are gonna work toward the merger here. I mean, on the other hand, yeah, I think it makes sense to do that. So they're gonna place this one here. And then they gotta buy a train, and they're gonna buy the train of the Veneta, the 5 train. They're gonna buy that for $5. And now every one of his companies has a train, not a great one though, only this one is a fairly good one. The others are all kind of mediocre, but there is money in here. The shares kind of valuable, and if this train runs and swallows, it's gonna be okay, and the train will probably hold for a while. So then the share value also drops because it couldn't pay out. And that's I think pretty much it then for this operating round. And of course I'm going to stop here. There was a ton going on in this video. We had an interesting stock round. Then we had this secession. We had that crazy merger. The train rush went quite a bit ahead. And we have now here, well, we have 2 more 5 trains. So maybe they will hold longer than expected. The Livornese will need at least 1. Yeah, they will buy themselves 1. And it's kind of a shame that they cannot, well, there is not enough money there to buy a 6th train anyway. So maybe they should have sold some shares. Yeah, well, whatever. I guess they're gonna go for a 5 train, and we'll see. We'll see about these things. They probably should have sold some shares. Too late for that. Okay, hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.